All right, so let's finish up with the intervals here. I've had a little break, but I want to keep going. You can look at these inversions in two ways. I can look at them in three ways. The third way is I can just look for the note with my colored patterns here. Okay, they're not patented. All right. I have a friend who's got his own patent company, but he told me it's mostly companies that patent things. All right. Well, anyway, I can look and see the note. If you know what the notes are and you just memorize the keyboard, or you could use the dots to find the notes, then you can just find the note. That's how I do it on piano. I just look and find those notes. Okay, once I have that G, I know what the intervals are. Okay, so if you know what the intervals are, you see this. This is a second inversion interval on a piano, where my three fingers are. All right. There's the other two ways to do it, and I'm sure it's by interval, but the one way to do it is to find the note, find the bottom note, and then do the intervals. So, and the second way to do it is just to remember the pattern. Okay, now I could work on that on the next chart. I might fill in some notes here, and we might make a little. Matter of fact, we could do that right here. Watch this now. Suppose I grab this first this root position. Okay, now I want to grab it really tight because we're going to fit it right onto the keyboard. Okay. Now, where is that going to go? Well, there's a 5. Let's find a 5. And I have to work with the bottom 3 strings. So here's a 5, there's a 3, and there's a root right there. Okay? So the missing notes are the 2, the 6, the 7, and the 4. Okay? Actually, the 2 wasn't one of the missing notes. Sorry. I misread that. My bad. So that's where they would fit on the keyboard. Okay? And if you find another 5, this has got to be on the bottom 4 strings now. Okay, because then it's warped and it starts to get into the funny shapes that you don't want to memorize those shapes, or you will recognize those shapes after a while, but at first you just want to memorize the unwarped shapes and then put them through the warp. Okay, that's the way I do it. And then once I recognize those shapes, because they will take on triad, cage characterized triads. In other words, say the E position would have certain intervals, certain shapes, such as the A position having the second inversion, straight up, the 3 of them. Okay, instead of over like this one. So you'll recognize those shapes too. So it's like a little reward for going through the warp. Then you recognize the shape, it gives you reinforcement. And then you can come back down from there with confidence. Down the strings again. So we find a 5 over here. Well, there's a 6 here, right? There was a 6 here. There's a missing 4 there. Okay, over by the R, we've got the 7 and the 6 here. A 7 there, and we've got the 6 there. So it would really be, it'd just count. 5, it'd be 6, and then it'd be another accidental. Then with the 3, we've got the 4 there. Well, this is starting to look like one of our old friends. Okay. Can we fit this to a pattern? Yes, we can. However, which pattern would that be? I'm thinking one of these guys up here. Move it over a little bit so we can see both of them. Keep an eye on both of them. We've got the 5, 3 in the root. we've got the it's going to cross across the pattern. You see, 5, 3, and the root. We've got the root there. All right, so maybe one of these other patterns might fit there. Fit some of these other patterns. 3, 5 root right there. 3, 5 root. So in the S3S and certainly in the stack of 3 short, we have the second inversion, the normal unwarped second inversion. It is not going to take on any other shape except this in the unwarped fashion. We're not going to have the straight 3. We're not going to have 5 root 3 as in the A. We're not going to have the arrowhead 5 with the root in the front and then 3 on top with the D shape up here. We're not going to have that in the unwarped. It's just going to be this shape. So you can memorize that shape. You know, I mean, it's a pattern shape that you want to know. So when I do this, all I got to do is look at that middle string and I can tell you that's an A. That's an A major. See that? Start anywhere. Do this. Middle string's a C. Something like that, okay? So you can go ahead and memorize that shape. There's nothing to it. But you're going to put it through the warp and it's going to get the D shape and the A shape, you see? So how are we going to memorize this shape? I don't know what this one is. Well, this shape, I believe, becomes evident in the G and the C shape cage. Okay, so certainly in the G shape, in the G shape, you have the G shape C at least. You have, you know, where you got. All right, you have the C, the third, and the fifth. And you have to bar those guys. When you do that G-shaped C up here, you got your finger on the root. You've got the second string is the third, and the third string is the fifth. And you'll see the teachers on the internet go really easy. When they want to do a G shape, they're not going to struggle like I do to do this whole thing. They're just going to go like this, and you can play it like that. But they're not telling you it's a root position. They're not telling you what position it is. The position is very important. That's the whole song. You know, that's the whole melody. When you have a melody that goes like. You know what I'm saying? It's really a very strong part of the melody. So in the G position, we have the root position there, and if you move that up, say in the C position, you got the same thing, but the C is on the second string. Okay? So in the C position, we have to clear that out so we can get to our C and see it easily. Here's the C position, and by the way, this has multiple fret. This is key of all modes fretboard. We're going to talk about that for a minute. Okay, let's just finish up with the C position. Here it is, imaginary fretboard, the imaginary fret nut here. The fret nut, bells and whistles. Imaginary fret nut here, and these are all imaginary fret nuts. Why are there so many of them? Okay, because they repeat. So you got a 6 here, you got a 6 here. It's repeating. But also, these are key of all modes fretboard. So we have a fret here that would make that lower E string a 7th. Okay, that means that would be in the root key of F. All right, it would actually be D flat at home. So that's very interesting. That's what key of all modes fretboard is. All right. So we look at the C here, and we're going to do this. We're going to do this first inversion too. Okay, so this has got messed up here. The